Okay, here we go. We're going to learn how to read a statement of cash flow. And this, in general, is the hardest of the financial statements to understand. So I encourage you to make sure that you have done the additional reading that I posted, the link to, Beginner's Guide to a Statement of Cash Flows before you tackle this. But we'll take a look at the ARC's Statement of Cash Flow. Okay, so the goal of the statement of cash flow is to help us understand and reconcile what is cash and what is not cash. So it starts at the top with the change in net assets, which you'll notice comes from one of the bottom lines of the statement of activities or the income statement. So we bring that over and we start there. And then we start line by line adjusting cash. So we start with operating activities. And so things that aren't real cash. So for example, depreciation. We talked about that a little bit in an earlier PowerPoint. Depreciation is not real. It has to be recorded because it helps you understand the overall financial picture of the organization, but it doesn't really chew up cash. And so you have to add that in. Things that are cash, but you can't use. So for example, gains on investments that you didn't actually sell, you don't get to take that. And so that's not real cash either because you didn't sell them. So that subtracts out. And so for each line item, what you are doing is you'll see you're increasing or decreasing the cash received or the cash that you actually have, either paid out or gotten in. And so on and on you go line by line until you see about midway through the net cash provided or used by operating activities. And so for this organization, you can see that they had a positive cash flow, at least from operating activities, and it was about $1.6 million. This is in sharp contrast to what happened in 2020, if you'll look over and see that. So next up, you'll see the cash that the organization gained or lost from investing. So this organization, the ARC, has significant investments, we know. And what they did is they bought some investments and they sold some investments along the way. And overall, they bought more than they sold. And so they actually invested some of their money, which generally speaking is a good thing, but it decreases the amount of cash on hand. So you can see the purchase of investments and the proceeds from sale of investments recorded there. And then the fixed assets refers to, equipment or property, cars, things like that they purchased during the year. And so that's going to give you the net overall, the net cash used or provided by investment activities. So we don't have it on the ARC financial statements, but in most organizations, you're going to see some sort of cash from financing activities. And so this is where, I took out a mortgage, I had a line of credit, maybe I paid off a loan. All of those things that add and subtract cash to my organization are going to be reflected in the cash from financing. Unfortunately, the ARC didn't do any of that this year, so we can't really look at it. But I wanted to make sure that you knew that normally, for larger organizations, you're going to see some cash activity from financing activities. So how should we think about this statement of cash flows for this organization? Generally speaking, they added cash. If you go back and you look at either 2020 to 2021, or if you look at, the net increase in cash and cash equivalents, it went up, right? They increased by about $973,000. They started the year at 1.6. They ended the year at 2.6. Generally speaking, that's a good thing. And that's consistent with what we saw, right? We saw their grant totals go up significantly. We saw their revenues go up significantly. And so we would expect them to have more cash on hand. So it's always good when you kind of see what you're expecting to see on the statement of cash flows. Okay, with that, you can go on to the next PowerPoint.